Hi there, welcome back. I have some work to do on this little beauty here. First thing I'm going to do is a little trick I sometimes do. I tend to get so busy that I forget to keep my project centered, and this is a little thing I will do so that I can remember. It's kind of like an actor's stage when they have their marks taped off on the stage for where they stand to do one of their lines, or so it'll remind me to keep it here. So I have some work to do on this little lady, and I wanted to explain to you something that I did to repair it because I made an error. Now let me pause for a second. I have someone over in the corner having a nap, and if she wakes up I may have to pause, and we may need a potty break. So, just to let you know, I love this little book. This was an unexpected pleasure. I was working on Bessie Maud, and don't worry, I'll get back to her. But Bessie Maud needed to dry for some reason. There was something she needed to dry. I wanted something to do, and that's how I ended up finding this on the bookshelf with the others that I had intended to start and then couldn't find. And imagine, the books were on a bookshelf. It's just hard to believe. Anyhow, so I thought, well, you know what? It's so pretty, and it's spring, and there's flowers, and it's green, and anyhow. It called to me, and am I ever glad it did, because this has turned into such a pretty little pleasure to work on. And thank you to the subscriber who told me the little buds that are growing straight up like this, and I suspect that's what these are. I bet they turn upwards as they mature, because these ones are still kind of round. They're hops. And so therefore making, that nice tasty cold summer, well, year-round beverage for if it's my husband, beer. So so those funny little things that at first I thought kind of looked like an unopened lotus bulb. I had some fun with using some of the stickers from that new Your Creative Studio box that I got recently. So you're going to see them throughout, these little stickers here. And I also fussy cut one of the little birds, like over here, just to put on the front, original front page. I don't want to give away too much. I do want to leave some of the fun things that I've done in here for the flip through for when she gets listed on in my Etsy shop. But I did do this. There was no publication date in this book, but because of the research I did for this publisher, I do know that it ceased to be Wardlock and Company in 1882. It became Wardlock and Bowden, as I explained previously. So what I've done, just so that whoever the new owner is can remember how old this book is, it's very old. It's at least 140 years old. So what I've done is I've put this little book plate sort of thing here, a little sticker, and I've just written pre-1882. So that's the closest I could get because they never put a year in it. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Now I'll tell you the mistake I made and how I corrected it. I was working away on this, and of course, as you know, for the last 2 weeks it's been hard to get time to actually a quiet 20 or 30 minutes to tape because of the little fluffy tyrant that moved into our house. And so I was working away at it, sewed my text block together, happy with that, glued it in, put in my end papers, and then I was doing some work one day, 2 or 3 days ago, and I had to turn it this way. And I looked here at my hidden hollow back spine, and my text block was not saddled nicely into the spine. It actually was sticking way out and wasn't even into the spine. It wasn't flush to the back here, and it was it just wasn't going to do. If this had been a book for me, I would have left it alone. But I can't send it out into the world not properly saddled. I just can't. So that meant I had to consider my end papers because one of them was going to get torn up. I knew that the text block would be fine. It's got fabric, and I knew that even with pulling it up, it would survive that. I could put it back in again. So because of all the work we did on this beautiful little Ex Libris, I couldn't hurt this. Whereas the back end paper was just one sheet, and I had already put my little nameplate at the bottom. So I thought, all right, well, that back one's going to have to come off so that I can release. I only needed to release 1/2 of the text block in order to get it back into, properly saddled into the spine, and then put down the new end paper. And sure enough, the end paper just tore apart trying to get it out. There was no getting it out in one sheet to be able to use it again. And here was my next problem. This was my last sheet of this paper. And the only thing I had left, because I had already gone ahead and made pockets, and, you know, I like to do things with the offcuts of the papers I use for the end papers, I only had 2 pieces of this left, but they were only about 3 inches wide each, which presented a problem because I really wanted the end papers to match, but I didn't have a sheet big enough to fit the inside of the back page. So now let me show you what I did. It's similar to the journal I did a few months ago, black and white. I had to make smaller sized sheets fit to become end papers, and here's what I did. So I used one of the 3-inch sheets underneath, inked it, glued it down, and then the other sheet I glued it on top. I put a notch there, and here we'll use little Catherine here, and it's now a pocket, but it still has that end paper. I wasn't able to marry it up to make it look like one complete sheet. That was just impossible. But I really like how this turned out, and I think that it was fortuitous. Hold on, and I think it was fortuitous because there's a nice tuck spot there. I think it looks like I planned it the whole time, but I just thought I'd share because, you know, even especially for people who are just getting started and thinking, oh, do I have to throw this all out? I messed up. No. If you need to, you can, just like you did originally with the original text block, you can pull out your text block and you can start all over again. And so I was able to get, I pulled up the end paper. It was, hold on, it was almost completely destroyed. I still found a use for it. Pulled it up, unglued this, nestled it back in, glued it down, glued down the new end papers. I'm happy girl. Now, then I made another problem for myself because I used the 2 3-inch strips to make this new back page. Lately, I've been enjoying using the end paper, you know what I mean, using the end paper to put on the back of my 2 Nanas bookmark that I like to put into my journals. So what I did was the end paper that I peeled off, it was kind of curled, edges were torn, especially this side. This side came up quite nicely, but this side ended up all torn and ripped up. But I was able to at least use it to put on the back of the 2 Nanas bookmark. There's the 2 Nanas. There's my mom, there's my Nana. So it all ended up, what could have been a horrible tragedy, ended up being okay. So what I want to do today, oh, and then, it's always something, right? I always, as you know, I always have a basket going. I keep the things in for the journals that I presently have that I'm working on. And I was going through these because I wanted to get out some papers so that I can send them home to the new owner. And I have a little bit, tiny little bit of the fabric that was left from the book, the text block, and tiny little bit of lace from these ends, and a big chunk of the lavender lace. So those will all be going home with her. But I found, hold on, I forgot to do something with the sweet little, sorry, putting the basket away, this sweet little dedication that was in the front. To dear Rita, with best wishes for Christmas from your friend Louise Bolter. Forgot to do something with it. So all that long lead up, this is what I'm going to work on today. I'm going to just make a little tag to put in, and I'm going to tuck it in here. So let's get to it. And again, I've already been talking for so long. Who knows if that little person over there is going to wake up. So I may have to pause and then come back, and who knows. I still have a little bit of the leftovers from this that I might be able to use. I don't know. We'll see. I have this tiny little piece of the, oh, this was the last of this beautiful lace. I have loved this lace. And this piece right here was the last of it. I have no more of this lace. So pretty. Anyhow, so I'd like to find somewhere to put that, or else it will at least go to its new home with it. So I think what I'm going to do, let's move these, to make a tag out of this, after consulting with my crush. She took time out of her very busy day to make herself available to me for a consultation. This one, Louise presented me with a challenge, because normally if I can't put a dedication like this back in as a full page, pardon me, it's just a tickly throat. If I can't put it in as a full page, normally I would make a tag out of it, but usually they're a little smaller. She's gone right across here. That presents a challenge because as a tag, it will be too wide to put into a tuck spot. So she and I, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then she even came up with a great idea of, you know what, just fold it in half and tuck it in and let the new owner decide what they would like to do with it, because it's very sweet. And I do think I found Louise Bolter, if she really did live in my area. And I find the books that I get in my thrift shops here are really from, if I can find the owner, they actually did live in my area. So it's usually either a great-grandchild or niece or nephew that are emptying out an old home and just donating them because they're not, that's not a classic. They weren't worth any money. Nobody wanted them. They get donated. So if this is the Louise that I found that did live in our area, she was born in 1871. And she was actually Louise Merritt. I found her birth. I found her marriage to a gentleman. Now I'm trying to remember. I think it was Alfred Bolter. Anyhow, but then I couldn't find a death for her anywhere. So maybe they ended up moving out of the area. I don't know, because obviously this would have ended up with whoever Rita was. And Rita, who knows? So, so then, I thought, yeah, maybe that's a good idea to just fold it in half and let the new owner decide what they'd like to do with it. But I want something to do today, and to finish this off so I can get her listed and off to her new home. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to make a tag probably about the size of an index card. And that way she could slide in and out this way into the back pocket. Let's do that there so you can see. See what I mean? So I'm going to need some other paper. I'm out of this paper. So I'm going to need to choose something that looks nice with it. And I may pause and go do that, and then we'll get further on to work on this. So hold on.